Make sure to stay up to date on everything going on with Baker Mayfield, Vita Vea, and all the contract situations with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now. So join the channel for free to stay up to date. Without further ado, let's talk about the bad news. You're watching Bucs Breakdown presented by Prize Picks. Today's show, the bad news just keeps rolling in for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield and with Vita Vea. We'll get into that. But obviously, the elephant in the room that you have to address. Adam Schefter yesterday at the end of the day saying, source, Vita Vea has requested a trade from the Bucs, and everybody starts going crazy. I'm still taken aback by this, right? Right, the extension talks of, hey, maybe we can get something done. What are you looking for? Maybe it's around what the Bucs are looking for. Clearly, it wasn't, but yeah, I still can't believe he wants out of Tampa Bay. Will it happen? That will be a tale that we have to follow as training camp starts and the offseason comes to an end. But he did go on the Kay Adams show yesterday and was like talking about the contract situation with Kay, and it's like, oh, you know, he was basically like, the way he was talking about it and like his body language and everything, it was like he already knew kind of that he was like, I'm probably going to request a trade because I don't think we're going to get to a decision, because Vita Vea on the UpAndAdams show said, I don't know. Well, so she asked him, like, are they close? Is anything going to get done? And he goes, I don't know. I hope we're close. My fingers are crossed. And like the way he said it, I was like, oh, if you watch the video, like, clearly they were not close at all because he requested a trade just hours later. So that's a telltale that he and the Bucs were not close at all, and it just was not going to work out. Now, could it work out? Maybe. I don't know. He'll be at training camp today. He was at training camp today, but it'll be weird, right? He was at minicamp. He was at a hold-in, obviously, but like, he was there at the facility and everything. So it's like, it's going to be weird for sure. But I feel like this was a very quick decision after two sides couldn't meet in the middle, right? Are the talks really done? Do we know if maybe towards the rest of the season, like during the season, maybe if he does decide to stick with the Bucs and he doesn't get traded, like, are the extension talks really done? Is he never going to be a Buc again? Like, I feel like this decision was more of just Vita Vea being like, oh, we're not close. Boom, request a trade, puts pressure on the Bucs, and then they have to make a decision. Do they have to right now? Not really. They can just say, hey, you have to play in 2026. You're on a contract unless Vita Vea doesn't play, right? So, I don't know. But Ted Nguyen said he wants to go to a California team or the Raiders, right? All right. So, does that really mean he wants out? Or is that him just saying, like, he's just naming that he wants to go to a California team or the Raiders to put even more pressure on the Buccaneers, right? Like, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So, some potential landing spots that I could see for Vita Vea, all the California teams, basically, right? The Raiders, he said, they named them specifically. The 49ers, the Chargers, the Rams, which would be terrifying, and then the Giants I saw. Now, they just lost Dexter Lawrence, so they got to figure out what they're going to do with their defensive line, so that could be an option. But, like, is this going to happen realistically, right? Because Adam Schefter, this is at 12 p.m. I think this is 12 p.m. Central Time because I'm in Dallas, Texas. So 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Breaking news, Eagles are signing two-time Pro Bowl selection Jalen Carter to a 4-year, $152 million extension worth up to $660 million. So that's $38 million a year. Makes him the highest paid defensive tackle in the league. Vita Vea is not going to get that. If you guys are subscribed to the channel, you know that I made a short on this. But this is not good, right? This is not good for our situation. That it kind of makes it seem like Vita Vea will get traded more than not, right? Like, it's more likely he will get traded because he's going to be like, hey, this person got this. You know, he's not like Jalen Carter. He's not as young as Jalen Carter, not as good as him, but like, it brings the floor up just a little bit, and it gives him some negotiation terms, right? There's just a little bit. It's not good. It's not good for our situation right now. Now, coming up, a former Tampa Bay Buccaneers player weighs in on the situation, gives his 2 cents, a former defensive tackle as well. So we'll get to that in just a second, but I got to give a huge shout out to our presenting sponsor. You guys know them. It is PrizePicks. If you're trying to win some money while watching sports, our friends over at PrizePicks is a great place to do it. Now, today's show is presented by PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app, as well as mine since 2022. Now, do you want a chance to win some money while watching your favorite sports? Get started with our friends over at PrizePicks today. The app is actually really simple to use. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. And speaking of PrizePicks and their deals that they got going on, every Tuesday they have Taco Tuesday. Now, you're probably looking at me and being like, Reid, what does Taco Tuesday mean? On PrizePicks, a taco is the same as a discount. It lowers a player's projection, making the more statistically more likely to hit, right? So what we got going on right now is actually a fantastic lineup. We got Jackson Holiday, the more on his Hinner fantasy score. I'm liking that. And then we got Olivia Miles, who is the taco right now. So if you want to put that in your lineup and make it easier to win your lineup, you could do that. If you want to get in on the action, just do it over on PrizePicks. Now, if you're a new user, you don't really know what's going on, we got a great deal for you. Play your first $5 lineup and get $150 in lineups if you win that lineup. Sounds pretty good to me. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. PrizePicks just switched up their offer. It used to be different. So there's no better time to join than right now. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5+ lineup. PrizePicks, code HMA. Download the app now. All right, let's get back into it. I've never understood why teams want to wait until the last minute to have discussions or create even further tension in a relationship where it could be easily clear, clean communication. But why wait until the last minute? This is Bucs' former defensive tackle, Ndamukong Suh, who Vita Vea has been working out with and has a great relationship. So he said, to me, it's a very, very odd to why not say, if this is a cornerstone player of your organization, somebody that has helped you win a championship, multiple Pro Bowls, and has an opportunity to still play at a very, very high level for your organization. If you value them, you tell them that. And let's figure out a mutual relationship versus waiting until the very last minute. And who in their right mind would go to a job and have no guarantee of what their salary is going to be? To me, I'm not going to work out for free and play for free. And you wouldn't just show up to work for free. Honestly, I completely agree with Ndamukong Suh in terms of why wait this long for a cornerstone player like Vita Vea, right? Waiting till the last minute is never a good idea. Now, I don't want to say playing for free, right? I don't know if that's necessarily like he's still going to get paid, but it's just the no guaranteed money, I think, is what he's talking about in terms of like, what's the future hold for Vita Vea? He does not know. It's a little bit scary, right? So waiting until the last minute, though, on the Bucs side, it's never a good idea. And the bad news continuing to roll in, Baker Mayfield never got a deal done, right? This makes me worried for Baker's deal because right now, there is no deal for Baker Mayfield. And he showed up to training camp with no new deal. And obviously, we know his timeline is as soon as training camp starts, no more negotiation talks. It's all ball. So Jenna Lane from ESPN said sources say Baker Mayfield is reporting to training camp today without a new deal. He and his agent have not made significant progress, and a new deal is not expected before the team's first practice tomorrow. So are we just going to lose all of our good players? Straight up. Vita Vea requests a trade. Baker Mayfield could be out at the end of the year. Mike Evans goes to the 49ers. Like, you lose. And Levante David retires. Like, what? Like, are we just going to lose everybody? And we're going to call this season a wash because we can't figure out deals to get done and people are leaving the team because they don't want to play? Like, it sucks, guys. It really does suck. especially when Ari comes out and says Bucs and Baker Mayfield are expected to end contract talks, and the plan is now for Mayfield to play the season on the final year of his contract, and he's scheduled to become a free agent in March. Like, these are all things that, like, are coming out of, like, we knew this was going to happen. We were hoping that it didn't, right? Because this was expected. Baker Mayfield, as soon as training camp starts, no more contract negotiations. And it's like, is that going to bite us in the ass, right? Did we not get a deal done with Baker Mayfield? He balls out, yay, but we pay him a lot more money. Bucs could have paid him around, 52, 53, somewhere around there, $1 million a year right now if they just did it. What are we waiting for? If he's your guy, Baker wants to stay here in Tampa, let's get a deal done, right? So, what are the potential Baker outcomes that we could see happen? My first one that I think is going to happen is he balls out and gets a deal midseason or at the end of the season, but more like midseason, because if he balls out a ton and he's really, really hot, he's MVP conversation again like he was last year in the first 5 weeks, I think Baker's going to be, I said this in our other video, like, he's going to be like, hey, I know I said don't talk about my contracts after training camp ends and stuff like that, but, like, I'm doing really well. How about, like, $60 million a year or somewhere around there, right? Because I'm doing really well. I'm sure Baker would be like, if the Bucs even came to Baker and were like, hey, we're going to pay you this amount of money because, you're doing well. I think it's a loose deadline, right? Now, the second option, he has an average season, and the Bucs franchise tag him. I talked about the franchise tag in our last video. I kind of think that's a little promising, right? Because if he has an average season, kind of like he did last year, maybe a little bit better, we're hoping, franchise tag seems good. Maybe it'll be around $48 million a year. You give a little bit more time for the Bucs and Baker to have that conversation about an extension, right? Because you get him for this season, you tag him and get him for 2027 season, and then there's more talks, right? Maybe the market's different. Maybe those guys in the 2024 draft class have their deals, and you have a better baseline of what does this production give me and what can I pay Baker Mayfield, right? Now, the third option, he has an underwhelming 2026 season, and he tests the free agency market. That is a viable option. That is a very possible option, right? Baker Mayfield, he's been talking about the injuries that he's dealt with. If he gets injured in 2026, God forbid, I hope he doesn't. But, like, if he does, that ruins the contract deal. Maybe we want to go in a different direction now, or maybe he just has a really underwhelming season and it doesn't work out for him, right? I really don't think that's going to be the case. I'm a Baker guy. Like, I hope he does well, and I hope he does this. He balls out and gets a deal. But we could lose him in free agency at the end of the year if he does not do well. Those are my three outcomes. You let me know. Be honest with me. How worried are you about getting a Baker deal done? Scale it 1 through 10 for me. 1, you're not worried at all. You're like, I think they're going to get a deal done. I think Baker's going to be our guy for the next couple of years. Or you're very worried. You type 10. You're like, I think they're not going to do the right thing, sort of like how it's playing out with Vita Vea right now. They're not going to do well by him, and we're going to lose our potential franchise quarterback for the next couple of years. Let me know down in the comment section. Love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for watching to the end of today's show. Make sure to subscribe down below. You'll make sure, you want to be updated on everything going on with Vita Vea, Baker Mayfield. I'll have you guys covered on here. You guys get some fun free content on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Give me a like as well. And if you have any questions or comments about what I'm doing on the show as well, please let me know down in the comment section. All right, thank you so much for watching to the end of today's show. As always, fire the cannons.